This is Robby Baehr with the We Who Dad podcast here with Jeremy Carroll, my good friend and brother in law. And we both are fathers and husbands, and we're talking about the struggle between technology and being a dad, how to not let it rob your time, but how to use it effectively. So we go through that in a fun way, and you're going to be excited and encouraged and maybe a little bit reprimanded. I read this interesting
Yeah.
study. And by I read this study, I mean my wife told me the study the other day that
It's the
that
best way to
um,
read.
if you spend like just spending something like a minute or two with your kids, like they like how transformative it is for how much they feel like you were involved as a parent. You know,
Just 1 to 2 minutes.
Yeah, it's like such a small amount of time. Because there was that research that they found that if a doctor just spends 5 minutes with a patient, the likelihood of being sued is almost nothing. Just
Really?
if they talk about anything, like I mean, like just shoot the breeze with somebody. And so just like if you just get on your knees or whatever and you just play animals or something, like and it was like only like if you did like 5 minutes, but like once a week, like how transformative that was for a kid. And
Wow.
so it was good for me because, I'm traveling a lot for work. Obviously, that's why we're even doing this thing,
Yeah.
is because I'm traveling and it's a lot. But I think that I think that that was kind of a good way of like, hey, you're not failing on that.
Yeah. I like
Do you know what
that.
I mean? Like it actually is working to be, because like when I'm with my kids, I'm with my kids, you know, and I try to create like a deep structure with my kids that like we the thing is that like technology's ability to rob your time is very high. Do you know what I mean? And when you're a young person, it doesn't maybe it doesn't matter as much. I think it always matters a lot, but maybe you don't feel like it matters that much. But the thing is that like when you have kids, like you are given a job, and that is to
hmm
love those kids, take care of those kids, and build those kids with incredible character. Do you know
hmm
what I mean? I don't even care what my kids do with their job. I just want them to be kids of great character. You know what I mean? That make a difference in the world. And I think that that is why you have to be so wise on how you use your time. Do you know? And like there's so many ways to suck your time. So I think that the thing is that like for me is like the decisions that we've made because media can consume so much time is for me personally is like, hey, when I get home, I don't use my phone.
Yeah.
Like my phone is like I just put it away. Like yes, friends get annoyed that I don't text back immediately. Like I mean, I think my oldest brother, Pierce, got angry at me that he's like, "You're not responsive on the thing." And I was like, "Yeah, I'm not. I'm with my family." And so the thing is, I try to do that every when I come back from work, and I try to do it like over the weekends. Now, the thing is that luckily our kids are younger, so my kids
hmm
go to bed at like 7:30 or 8, and so then I can go back to work after
hmm
that if I wanted to, which I have done many, many
hmm
times, many
But
nights.
that study is super encouraging because you do feel like, oh, I'm not spending enough time with the family and all this stuff. And like, but you need to work. Like work is important, especially as a
Yeah.
father and the patriarch of your own family. It's like you need to be working. You can't
Yes.
just be at home all the time with the kids. And like that's a thing I feel like is a lot of pressure on our generation, especially because I feel like our parents work was such like an obvious thing. It was like the very defined lines, like dad's gonna go to work, he's
Yes.
gone a lot, that's how
Yeah.
it is. Nowadays, social media
Yeah.
has these accounts where these dads are just that's the entire social media is the dad being a dad personality with the kids. And it's just
Yes.
like
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
you can't live
I
up to
mean,
that when you're trying to provide and live a normal life, you know? So,
no, you're so right. We've talked about that a little bit about, I mean, obviously social media is kind of the, you know, whatever they say, comparison
right.
is the thief of
Yeah.
joy. But I think that like that's a really good point because the thing is that like our job as a dad is like because I thought about this a lot. Okay, one thing is you're right. Our generation cares more, I think, I think every generation cared about their kids, but they thought about it
Yes. Yeah.
differently. Do you know what I mean? Like our kids, our generation, I think cares a lot about time we spend with
Hmm.
our kids. Like like quality time. Do you know what I
Hmm.
mean? Because maybe we felt like we needed to do that more. And I think most of my
Yeah.
friends feel that. I think a lot of the people probably watching this feel that. But the thing that I think is interesting is like the other day I was thinking, man, if I like won the lottery or were super successful, like I would just hang out with my
Yeah.
kids all
Yeah.
the time and I would never work, and I'd just be able to play with them and have fun and just take them to baseball games and all that. But I realized like actually that's not how the system's supposed to work. Like that actually is a broken
Mm.
system in itself. Like the kids want something aspirational.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like they want to feel like their dad is out there
Slaying dragons.
fighting
Yeah.
dragons.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Like they want to be able to feel like, oh, their dad, like he has to do something
He's
meaningful,
doing it for us.
And I think
That's another huge
he's
thing.
doing it for
Yeah.
us and like it's important. And like if I think about my dad, like we knew
Hmm.
like what he did mattered and we had a benefit because it was a little bit more like the family farm mentality where like we had to go with him, so I'm like 9 years old selling books after a speech or whatever.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Because it's like everybody was involved or like answering customer service emails or whatever. I mean phone calls. You didn't even deal with emails, you're just phone calls. And it's like there is a value to knowing like, hey, that's cool, like my dad is doing something
Hmm.
meaningful. Do you know what I mean? And I think that one of the things that we get a benefit of seeing is like, hey, when the structure of the world is broken, like it actually does produce like this weird
Hmm.
brokenness. You know what I mean? And it's like there's a benefit to us going out and working. Now the weird thing we have is we live in a weird age where it's like you can work from anywhere. Like
Right.
there was a
Yeah.
simple task when
True.
they knew like, hey, my dad is a farmer and he's out there and he's working 14 hours in the field. Makes sense. You know what I mean? And then we got to get there. Or oh, my dad is works at a factory, like he's got to do it. Or your dad being,
Yeah. Commercial
doing
commercial
carpentry,
flooring. Yeah.
like yeah, like doing that all day, every day, like back-breaking work. Like you understood it, and it was very. Nowadays, it's interesting because of the digital
Hmm.
world. Do you know what I mean? That you could work from
Hmm.
anywhere. You could actually like it. It's like, oh well, is dad like is dad playing? Is dad like what? He's just sitting in front of a
Right.
screen.
Yeah.
Do you know what I
Yeah.
mean? And so during the whole COVID experience, I read a lot of books on like remote work and other things like that. And I think there's a reason why, like a lot of the research shows that there's a deep effectiveness to having a separate
Mm.
space, like, so I actually have like an office shed or whatever.
It's awesome.
It's like a
Yeah.
shed we
That is
converted to an
pretty
office.
awesome.
It's so cool. And it's totally separate and it's a separate place. So if I am working from home, now I travel a lot and I work from the office mostly. But like if I am working from home, it's like a separate space. And like my dad had a separate space too, or whatever. And I think that there's an advantage to
Right.
that too. I mean, not everybody can do that. Sometimes you have to work over the kitchen table. But I think incorporating your kids and understanding like, hey, you have to work hard and you are out there fighting dragons and you're making a difference and all that is
Hmm.
important so that they understand the value of
Hmm.
it. But I think also like if you can have a separate space, there's a value to that a lot too, you know? And I think that's kind of an interesting fight that we have to do nowadays. And the other thing too is I think that most people can benefit from getting away from news altogether.
Agreed.
You know what I
Yes.
mean?
Totally.
Now, except for Movie Guide News, which we have a new Movie Guide
Yes,
News
it's
app,
true.
but our news app is encouragement.
Yeah.
Okay, I think most news is focused on fear or scandal or whatever, but ours is focused on like how to encourage you. But I just feel like so if you have to do news because of your work, one of the things I've done is I get a physical newspaper. I get the physical Wall Street Journal, which I sit and they know, and so they're not seeing me on my phone. I mean, I've here if you look at my screen time, I just don't use my
Hmm.
phone with my family at all. Do you know what I
Hmm.
mean? And so I think that that's kind of an interesting thing, and it does require discipline, and it also means that you're not, you know,
Connected.
as
Right.
accessible, you know, and like there are benefits and negatives to everything. Like
Right.
you and I were talking about that this new generation of interns that have come in, they don't use their phones at all, you know? And so beforehand it was like, oh, you message uh like an intern or something and they would respond to you in like minutes. Now it's like, oh, you might get back to you in hours because they're not using their phones, which is a
Yeah.
positive. It's actually probably a positive for society.
Yeah.
There's that trend for dumb phones and
Well,
other things.
one of
But
those
every family,
interns came to our house, and I was in shock when she said, "I don't know where my phone went." It's like,
yeah,
"Oh, this is new."
yeah, which is a
Yeah,
positive for a
totally.
generation. I actually think that's a real positive of going back. But I think that every family you have to work through it
Right.
differently. Do you know what I
Mhm.
mean? And every job has a different requirement on
Totally.
it. You know, but I do think that like we actually every generation is a different kind of struggles with different issues, and I feel like we are almost it's almost like a homeschool
Yeah.
generation, because like in homeschool kids, which I've learned from my wife who's a homeschooler. I just went to school or whatever, but is that when you go to school, they tell you what to do, where to do it, and how to do it, right? When you're in homeschool, like you have to figure out like when to work, how to work, and what to work. You know what I mean? So that you end up completing the actual job. And I think that like we have the capability and the ability to either have leisure at all times or to work at
Right.
all
Yeah.
times, right? And both of those are addicting
Yeah.
things. I think like for me, it's like, oh, workaholicing is an addiction that you have
Yeah.
to fight. For some people, like leisureholic is hard too. So you have to fight that line either way. In both of them have benefits and
Mhm.
negatives. Do you know what I mean? But it's like you have to create those structures. And the structure is saying, hey, I'm not going to use it this time. Do you know what I mean? And like you have to do whatever it takes to be able to make that possible. And I will say on this line is I've gone through some soul searching on how to do that
Mhm.
effectively, because like my phone, I don't have any social media apps. I don't have any games or anything. I just have like work stuff. And I used to have YouTube, which I deleted YouTube, thank God, because that's very addicting.
Ultimate
Because
time
YouTube, you always
sucker.
feel like you're learning more.
It's
You know what I
productive
mean? And
leisure,
you guys
right?
are
You
yeah, productive leisure. I'm sure some of you are watching this on YouTube, so
Yeah,
keep
yeah,
it.
yeah.
No, I'm just
Only
kidding.
subscribe to Movie
Um,
Guide, right?
that's
And
right.
we who dat.
But the thing is that like, so I went through like I got a light phone
Yeah.
3, which I thought was so cool, but it was
Yeah.
unpractical. You know what I mean? Like there's all these dreams of like the light phone. There's another phone called the minimal phone. There's a bunch of different dumb phones. The problem is that they're all like missing that one app that you actually
Right.
need, like,
Yeah.
oh, your banking app, or like
The
or like, oh, you
GPS or
needed,
the yeah.
yeah, exactly, or like
Yeah.
CarPlay or something. And so they're almost there, but they're not. And so I think that like where I came to the point is like you can't outsource that. You've got to figure out a way to make it
Yeah.
work for yourself. And like they have created these devices to be the most addicting devices that human beings, like that people have ever created.
Yeah.
And so like it's our job is to say, hey, create structures. So like I have my phone on grayscale. I have it so that a shortcut. So every day, if I switch it out of grayscale, because I have to do it for a work thing, like if I'm traveling and I have to look at a design or something, it will switch back to grayscale
Nice.
every night. You can go into shortcuts and you can make that happen. And when you look at grayscale on your phone, you hate your phone. It's just not fun. Like I deleted as many apps as I could
Yeah.
that were not pertinent to getting the stuff done.
Well,
Do
when
you know what I mean?
you have the like
And
head of UI design at Google is like, we have entire staff meetings just to figure out how to make email addictive. It's like
right,
that's what you're up
you got
against
to be
when you
careful.
open that app. Like
Yes,
it's crazy. Yeah.
yeah, and you got to do whatever it takes for that. They're aiming to trip you up
Every
on that.
UI designer is pulling their
Like
hair out hearing that you're using grayscale too.
I know, and it is so ugly and so bad, but it helps. The other thing I think is I've heard some people do too is and when I used to have like little games on my phone, I did this. Is I put screen time, and you can have your wife set the lock.
Good, yeah.
I don't have video games on there anymore because I didn't feel like it was the right use of my time, and everyone has to decide differently. But like you, like your lock on there, and that I think was very helpful because it's like, oh, whenever you add a social thing where it's like you have to get up and ask your wife something, you are not gonna do it.
Yeah,
Do
yeah,
you know what I mean? Like you're just not gonna do it. Especially if you have four toddlers, like you
yeah.
won't walk around alive, so you can't do it. But I think you have to. I think you got to come up with any structure you can because it's your job. You're the pops.
Mhm,
Like it's your job to be able to set a standard for your kids and to be able to be and like it is valuable to have leisure. Even the Bible says that like what in Levitical laws, like 10% of your time on leisure. It's okay to spend time on leisure. It's not a bad thing. You know what I mean? But you have to choose what your leisure is. I've just chosen like, oh, maybe my leisure is CrossFit or my leisure is you know, playing baseball with my kids or whatever. I've chosen different things for leisure, um, but I think you have to kind of make your
mhm.
decision. It might be that you want to spend your time on your phone. It's just like just be careful.
Mhm.
It's the most addictive substance the world has ever created.
Right.
So you just have to be careful. And the other thing I'll say on my side, which I'd love to hear your point on it too, is I loved having a desktop.
Mm.
Like a desktop was so great because it's like, oh, well, I can only work
Yeah.
like in that physical location because even the ability of being able to work from a laptop
Yeah.
anywhere, it meant that you worked
Yeah.
everywhere.
It's following
Do you know
you
what I mean?
around.
And it's
Yeah.
like it's following you
Yeah.
around because you knew you could, you know? And so I just think that it's the problem of choice and you have to start eliminating weirdly enough, like we live in the greatest age in human history where we have so much
Right.
choice. And so part of our job is actually eliminating choice, which is so weird to say because we live in
We're
such a
so
great time,
blessed that we have to,
but we
like,
have to take
downsize. Yeah.
away, yeah, optionality. Like we have to remove that from us,
Yeah. Totally. Yeah.
But
I think I think that's a huge shift for our current generation is being able to even do your emails or your calls and everything on your cell phone. Because I remember with my dad, he had to work, 2, 3 hours away every morning. He'd get up at 4 a.m. and drive, and then he would do commercial flooring in the Bay Area. And obviously, that's a job you can't bring home, 300-pound rolls of carpet up and down skyscrapers all day. And then he'd come home, and like still remember the day he got a cell phone that he could talk to work on. And he would one day he got up, I think in the middle of dinner, he was getting a call and he got up and he took it outside. And I was like dumbfounded. Like, why is he
wow.
talking to work? Why is work at our house? It was such a weird like clash, like work is something dad goes and does and comes back from. And it was just interesting. Like, I still remember seeing him standing outside the window holding the phone on speaker, and I just think about that with my kids now. Like, it's just like total mix. And I don't know if that's maybe a
Yeah.
benefit or a negative for my kids to see dad doing work stuff. I don't know. But it's kind of like, it's just a different world now for
The
all this.
interesting thing, so
So
my dad, like,
it's interesting.
because he worked in nonprofit ministry and he ran the organization, it was very incorporated from
Yeah.
the beginning. And so like even when we were on road trips, like my dad would be working on his laptop
Yeah.
as my mom would be driving. And like it was one of those big, thick, old school laptops, and you'd plug it into the lighter, you know what I mean, to keep it energy. And we would have to stop along the way on the road trip, and
Yeah.
he would
Yeah.
make phone calls from the payphone because there were no such things as cell phones. You know what I mean? And so like we
Amazing. Yeah.
always kind of lived
Yeah.
where those things were intertwined. Do you know what I mean? But I think the thing is the funny thing is like every generation I feel like is trying to do its best to make a difference and to love its kids. But every like
Hmm.
it's like my dad did
Hmm.
an incredible job and my mom did an amazing job. She's so great. She's in heaven. I'm sure she's listening in heaven. But the thing is that like it's interesting because we always want it a little bit differently. And so for me, it's like I want to make sure I have those deep separations. Do you know what I mean? And so like I've incorporated more of those deep
Yeah.
separations a little bit
Yeah.
in there. And I think my parents did a great job, even though it was intertwined. And so we try to incorporate some of that where like I want my kids to know what I'm doing, like what work I'm doing, and that they're part of it. Like they mean a lot to
Hmm.
it and like they help me in it. Do you know what I mean? So like I will bring them on trips and incorporate them in part of it. Like they've got to speak about Movie Guide and talk about it
Hmm.
and stuff like that. But also like I
Hmm.
uh I try to separate like the work life balance as I can, and I don't know if I do it well. I think we live
Mhm.
in the greatest age in human
Mhm.
history because it's like I'm just thinking this out loud with you. So it might, if we're just verbally processing, it might not even be a good idea. But the thing is that, like, if I think about it, like my parents couldn't, they both worked and they couldn't come to like almost any games. And I wouldn't treat that as like, oh, I was so deprived. My parents were
Mm.
awesome. And I knew that they were working hard and they had to do that so that we could actually have food on the table
Mhm.
and get to go to school and all that kind of stuff and clothes and everything. And they were amazing, amazing people. The thing is that I
Mhm.
think that I've had the ability where I get to go to my kids' games. But on the flip side, it might mean that, like, okay, I've got to check my email in the middle of the game or something. Do you know what I mean? And respond to it quickly between innings. But
Right,
like
right.
in a
Yeah.
way, like that phone, I know that we talk about
Yeah.
the evils of the phone because there's a lot of evils. But on the flip side, it's like, well, that's allowed me to
Yeah.
hang out with my kids that I wouldn't be able to do otherwise in the old days
True.
because of the fact that like there was a separation. So maybe I'm going against
Mhm.
everything I'm saying, and maybe you have to cut this part out in there. But there are benefits to it too, you know?
Well, I agree with that for sure. Yeah, yeah. I think those are the benefits, and I think if you have your phone under control, you can maximize those times. And then having a desktop though, like you were talking about before, having a desktop, there's a
Yeah.
clock on your hour or on your workday. So you gotta like just get it all done right then and there. And I think that can help with productivity too, because you can't push anything off. Be like, oh well, I'll do it at home after dinner, or I'll do it, whatever. You're locked in. So I think there's a benefit for that too. And then the phone is kind of like if you need to do any pickup work is great. But you need that under control because otherwise the phone will become
There was a
the
really
the
famous
workstation on the move.
investor who was
So
a donor of ours, and he had a rule that if you didn't do your work within the 8 hours, like if you took it home, like you'd get warned, and then if you did it a couple times, you'd get
mhm.
fired. And it was one of those things where like it meant that people really
Ah,
maximized their whatever 8 hours a day in the time frame, and they weren't allowed to work outside of that, you know. And so I think you're right about that. That there are benefits to that too. I just think I think it's hard. I think of that. I think that the key with technology is
yeah,
I think you can go everything in life is you can do extremes, right? Like you can go to the extreme of thinking like, oh, technology is
exactly.
evil and let's
Yeah.
remove it completely. And that's wrong. Like it's not evil. You know what I mean? It offers a tremendous benefit that allows us to do incredible things. And then you can flip on the flip side and be like, oh, it's the greatest. We need to use it at every moment.
Yeah.
And that's wrong because you miss out on real life with real people and real relationships. And so I
True.
think that
Yeah.
the thing
Yeah.
about life that's so difficult but so amazing is it's about the balance, you know? And like if we think about faith, like, you know, I as I
Yeah.
travel the country a lot,
Totally.
like one of the things I'm seeing on the faith side, which is a little scary, is like people are kind of moving into like um, kind of superstition and ritual. You know what I mean? And you see that with like some faith
Mm.
traditions that are all about
Yeah.
like I was talking to a guy and he was like, "Oh, I you know, I have this little talisman that I pray to. I'm not going to mention the specific thing, but you know, and he's like special things happen or whatever." And I was like, "Dude, that's not
Mm.
Christianity." Do you know what I mean? It's like you can't say special words and then things happen, you
No.
know? Like we get to talk to God, but like we don't know.
Yeah.
He acts, or if he doesn't act, it's within his mercy, you know? And I think that like the thing that's so hard about faith is
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
the willingness to be able to walk in life in the thing in the ability to like both love God but not be superstitious in it. Do you know what I mean? It's like if you didn't make your bed, or if
Mhm.
you accidentally
Mhm.
said a bad word, or you know, if you were mean to somebody, like that is something you don't want to do because you love God. It's not like something of it's like, oh, you're now not going to win that new
Mhm.
business deal. Do you know what I mean? Because like works have nothing to do
Mhm.
where you go to
Mhm.
heaven. You know, Louis Giglio had an incredible book saying
Mhm.
the devil, don't let the enemy have a seat at your table. And he's like, hey, we're already redeemed because of the cross. You know, and like when we stand before Jesus Christ, like
Yeah.
the only way we get into heaven is because of our love of Jesus Christ. It's not because we got absolved of our sins the moment before we died. It's not because like we did all of this work, like good works. Like he doesn't care about our good works. They're literally,
Mm,
the Bible says they're like filthy rags. They're nothing.
right.
You know what I mean? Like we are forgiven because of Jesus Christ for everything that we will do and have done. Do you know what I mean? And so I think that like that's the struggle of faith. I mean,
Hmm.
that's why I'm so
Hmm.
thankful to be like an evangelical Christian. I love my, Calvary Chapel Church or whatever, and I love Tim
Yeah.
Keller and all those kind of
Yeah.
things. But it's like the thing
Yeah.
of like, yeah, we
Totally.
have to wrestle with this tension. Like God is both fully God and fully man, like both three and one. Like we have to walk in faith, and like we love God, and because we love God, we act faithful lives, but our works have nothing to do with our salvation.
Yeah.
And I think that like that's the hard thing in life,
Yeah.
is how to walk in that tension. And I think that that is also the tension that scrolls over to everything in life. Like technology is not evil, but it's also not
Yeah.
not
Totally.
salvific. It's like in the middle where it's like it's okay. Like
Yeah.
it can bless us and help us. It can make us more productive. It can help us find ways to heal our kids or whatever. Or like if they're sick, it can guide us on how to get places better or how to
Hmm.
save money. But it also can be consumptive of our time and steal the things that are truly meaningful. And so it's like you got to
Hmm.
walk in the middle. That's what makes the tension so hard. Because it'd be so much easier to just throw everything away. It's like it's so much easier for someone to tell you how to pray, who to pray to, reading some book, like doing these 12 actions will get you to this place.
Yeah.
But that's not how it
Yeah.
works. You're not going to get there. You don't get to heaven because you did all these things that some
Yeah.
random person told you on the thing. It's only because of Jesus. You know what I mean? And it's the same thing with technology. It's like you
Yeah.
can't you can't throw it away. Do you know what I mean? It's actually one of the greatest things the world has ever known,
Yeah.
but you can't treat it as if it's your savior. It's not going to. You know what I mean? Like there's still death, there's still pain, there's still all those
Right.
things. And it's your
Totally.
job as a
Totally.
father, as a husband, to take care of your family, to love your family, and to spend time with your family. And I think that's kind of an important thing to be able to walk in and to live in. And I think that that's the challenge of our generation. Every generation has to struggle with some challenge, and this is our challenge, is to walk through that and
Hmm.
to walk through that nobly.
This has been the We Who Dad podcast with Jeremy Carroll and Robby Baehr. And if you want more information on this stuff, check out movieguide.org, where we have resources, apps, all sorts of things, and stuff that will save you time on media to spend more time with your kids. Isn't that what we all want? So check out movieguide.org. Come back for the next episode of our podcast, and we'll see you in the next one.